It is Tuesday, September 13, 2016. We're pleased to bring you today's edition of the Government News Brief. In the news, Guyana-Venezuela border matter to come up for discussion at the 71st United Nations General Assembly, government determined to create better public service, and the national policy will cater for the development of sports in Guyana. Stay tuned as we bring you the details of these and other stories. Thank you for staying with us. I am Azim Khan. Here now are the details. President David Granger is expected to raise the border issue with Venezuela at the 71st session of the United Nations General Assembly, which begins today. Details in this report.
Foreign Affairs Minister Carl Granit says that President Granger will be making a presentation to the UN General Assembly in New York during the week-long session.
He will doubtless also be addressing issues pertaining to greening of Guyana, and Guyana's controversy as regards the border with Venezuela. These are amongst the issues I'm sure he will discuss.
Minister Granit says that the President is also expected to highlight the problems of global governance at the UN General Assembly.
And in that presentation, he will draw attention to those things that he regards as important. And in there, doubtless, he will touch upon the problems of global governance, the issues pertaining to how the small and the voiceless can be given the opportunity to have their messages heard and to have the UN act in a manner that's consistent with their interests.
Guyana is one of 193 countries which will be participating in the UN Annual General Assembly. President Granger, Minister Greenidge, and a team from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs are in attendance and will be complemented by the Guyana's Mission New York team. The theme for the General Assembly meeting is the Sustainable Development Goals, a universal push to transform our world. For the Government News Brief, I am Delicia Haynes.
Government is working with international development partners to ensure that Guyana's public service is efficient and effective in the execution of its mandate. We have the details in this report.
This new government, almost from day one, has pledged that we would open a public service training college so that public servants can then go back to the drawing boards, as it were, to understand the importance of serving the public diligently, consistently, of a high standard.
The Prime Minister told the gathering of officials and participants at a reception hosted by the Canadian High Commissioner on Monday that the public service in Guyana has been demoralized for many years. The PM says that the coalition government is working for a better public service by offering public servants the opportunities for continuous development and training.
We want to warmly welcome you and ask that you make this endeavor important in your career and that you take away from this conference those attributes that would help to make our public service, not only here in Guyana and the Caribbean, but everywhere in the Commonwealth. We believe that the level of public service delivery of functions has to be improved and enhanced. And so we want to join this new and continuing, I may say, continuing effort to build the standards of our public servants.
Prime Minister Moses Nagamootoo says that public service development is important, especially as it relates to the fundamentals of good governance and public trust. Top-level managers and permanent secretaries are being trained in leadership development. The Canadian government is funding the implementation of the Caribbean Leadership Project. Canadian High Commissioner to Guyana, Pierre Giroux, expressed satisfaction with Guyana's partnership in the project's implementation.
A professional and non-partisan public service, in our view, is central to democracy. Public servants are called to provide sound advice and loyal implementation of government's policies, hence the need to strengthen the institutions and their human resource capacity.
Deputy Secretary General CARICOM Dr. Manorma Suthnandan says the project is critical to the development of public services across the Caribbean, and the CARICOM Secretariat fully supports its implementation.
Gaining the knowledge, having the capacity, and using that at the national and regional level with the assistance of our IDPs can help us to excel, but it can also help to bring a change, not only at the national level, but also at the regional level.
The Caribbean Leadership Project was officially launched in Barbados in 2013. Since then, 93 senior officials across the Caribbean have been trained, including 4 from Guyana. Currently, 3 Guyanese are being trained. The program will conclude on September 16, 2016. For the Government News Brief, Sinika Thorne reporting.
The Public Infrastructure Ministry will initiate a public awareness campaign to reduce road fatalities. Ranetta Fleur has the details.
Senior Projects Engineer at the Ministry, Kester Haynes, says that in addition to the school road safety education program, which benefited teachers, police, and students in the Vredenhoop to Hydroni area, a road safety media campaign will be initiated to reduce road accidents.
We have a road safety public relations and communications component, and they would have developed some communication tools which we're looking to have being published as soon as possible. I know for many persons, we have recognized that there have been some increases in the fatal accidents on our roads. I think for this weekend alone, over this weekend, this is Friday to today, we would have had approximately about 4 deaths. So we're looking to sensitize and educate persons on proper use of the roads.
Hinds points out that the public awareness campaign will utilize newspapers, television, and the internet. The engineer explains that the campaign, which was intended for the West Coast region, will explore other measures of sensitization to include the general public.
The campaign initially, when it was conceptualized, was to target drinking and driving. So messages are going to be there talking about drinking and driving. So we're developing in other tools. So let's say before the end of the year, we'll be having other messages to target other categories of road users.
The campaign will utilize excess funds from the West Coast Road Improvement Project. Meanwhile, to date, the West Coast Road Improvement Project is 40% completed. In explaining works carried out, Haynes says,
we're doing concrete drains, we're doing culvert repairs, we're doing sidewalks, cycle lanes, widening of the road to accommodate the sidewalk and the cycle lanes, overlay of the existing surface, reconstruction of some sections, installation of lights within some areas where we had no lights, installation of traffic signs, road markings. All of those are items that are part of the contract. Of course, many of them are phased.
The project is funded by the government and the Caribbean Development Bank, the Inter-American Development Bank, among others. Ranetta Fleur for the Government News Brief.
Parents, children, and other stakeholders explore fun ways to encourage reading at the Ministry of Education's Literacy Clinic held over the weekend. Details from Kidackie, Amsterdam.
Lisa Pereira, a participant, says reading will no longer be boring because of the fun ways of learning to read, introduced by the Ministry of Education's Literacy Unit.
It's fun because we learn how to recycle things and use it for learning. They also teach you how to read better and how to encourage other people to read. I don't really think reading is boring now because they teach you how to read and they teach you how to learn and how to have fun with it. It would be the recycling because that would help me to teach my brother.
The Literacy Clinic held at the Princess Ramada Fun City on Sunday is part of the Ministry of Education's drive to sensitize stakeholders about the importance of literacy. Randolph Pereira, a parent, shares his thoughts.
Yes, learn some new stuff from some simple things, just around you, around the environment. It's a very good gesture by the Ministry of Education, and I think they should promote it and let it expand throughout the length and breadth of Guyana. It's a very good atmosphere, and the staff, they know what they're about.
Nizam Hanif, another parent, speaks about the exhibits at the Literacy Clinic.
It's very wonderful, and the kids would, it's so attractive, the kids would be encouraged, to continue and follow it up, very nice display. So I must commend the ministry and the work that they are actually doing. Yeah. I think this is a wonderful job, and they could, expand and keep improving on it.
The literacy workshop emphasizes the importance of literacy generally and more specifically enabling children to read by the time they reach grade 4. The Giftland Mall, Botanic Gardens, and other locations around the country will be venues for more literacy workshops as part of the activities in celebration of Education Month 2016. Kidackie, Amsterdam, for Government News Brief.
The National Sports Policy, once rolled out, will outline policies for the development of sports in Guyana. Find out more in this report.
The National Sports Policy is in its consultative stage, and the Minister within the Ministry of Education, Nicholas Henry, in an interview with Gina, says that the policy is expected to be rolled out in the first quarter of 2017.
We're currently still very much in the early stages where we're planning national consultations because we need to have all stakeholders involved in the process of planning, and that is something that we anticipate will be done beginning the last quarter of 2016.
The policy will be used to guide the direction of sports for the next 5 years. This includes capacity building for sports associations and federations. The National Sports Policy will be used to craft policies to prevent the use of illegal enhancement substances by athletes. Minister Henry explains.
The other area that we want to look at is individual development plans for some of our elite athletes. We also will be looking at anti-doping, ensuring that we do have the policies and so in place for that.
Additionally, a health insurance policy for athletes will be focused on, Minister Henry says.
There's also a plan to look at health insurance, particularly for our athletes, to cover medical care expenses and so forth, and the building of infrastructure to provide young people with the opportunity and support that they need so that they can compete at a very competitive level.
The National Sports Policy will create a platform for athletes to grow and compete on the international level. Isaiah Braithwaite, Government News Brief.
We have come to an end of today's edition of the Government News Brief. The details of these and other stories can be found on Gina's website. Gina has an active Facebook page, and we encourage you to visit and like us so you can be informed as the news unfolds. Remember to join us again tomorrow when the Government Information Agency brings you another edition of the Government News Brief. Thank you for watching.